It is February 2nd, 2012. In the second half of the broadcast, investigative reporter and deep researcher Fritz Springmeier will be joining us to go over evidence that many of the global elite are indeed Luciferian psychopaths. Satanist isn't the right word because that's kind of the low-level minions. They think Lucifer's God. And I thought I'd show some clips of Eyes Wide Shut and news articles about world leaders involved in the occult. And so John Bound has prepared some of that for the radio audience and the TV audience. And so we'll be bibliography, engaging in a bibliography here on air with some of what Fritz is talking about, just because it sounds so over the top. But unfortunately, so much of it has been proven to be accurate. Again, I read his book. Came out in '95. It's been updated. Bloodlines, the Illuminati. And I was like, this can't be true. And then over the years, I just kept running in separately in mainstream media or in research, just into things that were in his book that he'd originally reported on from sources. And by the way, I had John Bound for 2 days look for that Times of London, or was it Sunday Times of London? Because I have a memory of it. In fact, he actually found the link, and then he was digging it back up last night. So if you didn't dig that link back up, please find it, John. And there was the clip about the woman escaping from the Burgundy, France castle. And when the state police broke in, there were all these dead women and women barely alive in cages. And then it was connected to the French government, so the story got shut down. That link's dead. That article's taken down. Kind of like the Sunday Times, again, had a big article about global, rich meet to deal with overpopulation at Rockefeller University. We went, subscribed, got into their archives, gone. Thank goodness we saved part of the article, a blurb of it, and I found that Global Research and others have the whole thing saved. ABC News changed their headline and cut out the stuff about reducing population. And who was there? Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, George Soros, Oprah Winfrey. And they're in there saying, well, we're like an alternate to the global government, but not trying to be the official global government. That's how the article ends. And they say, well, we've got to figure out ways to reduce the population. And, of course, Gates and Buffett's foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that Buffett's put $50 billion in or more, tax-free, by the way. It actually makes money. It's buying up vaccine companies, GMO. New York Times reports Bill Gates is the biggest financer of biotech crops in the world now, GMO. He then finances London Guardian, ABC, you name it. We did a report on that earlier in the week, listing the dozens and dozens of TV networks and print papers like The Guardian that they finance. I mean, the whole thing, it's not sponsored by, they're paying for what's in it. How great Bill Gates is, how he loves you, how much he loves black people. I mean, it's sick. It is sick. And there's this brainwashing in the churches and everywhere. Bill Gates hung the moon. He loves us. Meanwhile, we've got the clips. We're putting a report together of this about, kill grandma and hire 10 teachers, and the teachers clapping excitedly. The idea of you kill somebody, you cut off resources, you get it. A vampire, parasitic, cannibal economy. A consolidation economy. A wrecking ball economy. A kill or be killed economy, not a win-win-win expanding economy to the stars, but one of post-industrial. That's what they want. And it's so incredible to watch these monsters, because you can go, just type in Warren Buffett eugenics, Warren Buffett Planned Parenthood, Warren Buffett abortion, Warren Buffett population control, and you'll get his quotes going back 30 years and the groups he funds. And Bill Gates and all of them. And, of course, Ted Turner calls you useless feeders and, we need to kill 90% of people, C-SPAN. But then, he's got shots for you. He loves you in Latin America, Asia, and Africa so much. He's liberal. And, the guys are pulling up how he funds abortions worldwide, how they give women money to have abortions in third world countries. I mean, but but he's got a shot for you, and he's designing your food. You don't just get to have regular food, and they've got laws passed so they don't have to label when it's got a bunch of genetics added that in every study reduces your fertility. I mean, these are monsters. Monsters. And every time a little glimpse on Lair NewsHour of Bill Gates saying we got to reduce the population massively, boom, they pull that down. Or TED TV, where he giggles and laughs just 2 years ago and says, we're going to give everybody vaccines to reduce population. And the audience of establishment people laugh because Gates is laughing about it. Then he releases mosquitoes and says, soon we'll put vaccines in them so you basically can't escape them, and then releases some in the crowd. They're pulling that video. I mean, these are demons hopping around laughing at us with a bunch of PR about how much they love us. Okay, I never get to the news until later, and it's wrong. I just start thinking about one avenue of what they're doing to us and the deception, and it makes my head spin. I wish they weren't doing Satanism or Luciferian worship at Skull and Bones, but they do. I wish it wasn't going on at Bohemian Grove, but it's real. I wish this stuff wasn't true. I wish bisphenol A wasn't added in the 50s to all the major plastics that our foods contained in, designed to reduce our fertility and feminize men. But I've got all the documents, and they did it, and they admit it does do that. I wish this wasn't true every day. I wish that I didn't know 6 years ago about Fast and Furious before we even knew the name. I wish that I was wrong. I wish that when I said over a year ago that they're going to use this to blame the Second Amendment, and then indeed the memos came out that that's what it was, a false flag. Wish I was wrong again. Wish I was wrong about it all, but I'm sorry. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And truth is stranger than fiction. It's always over the top. It's always crazier than I thought. Crazier than the movies. Crazier than science fiction. Because this is reality. This is a lot wilder than what you can put in fiction. All right, I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to read you the headlines. California nuclear plant closed after radiation leak. Flesh-eating bug spread by sneezes and coughs. New radioactive leak at Fukushima reactor. More than 70 die in Egyptian football riot. China rejects genetically modified rice in opposition to GMO crops. Severed pig's head dumped on doorstep of crime-fighting Italian priest after he condemned mafia. Solo nation, American consumers stay single. 70% now are not going to get married. I'll go over those numbers. It's doubled since 1960. 28% of households now consist of just one person. Continuing, many singles looking for love but not marriage. I'm going to tell you what's behind that. If you want to be single, that's your issue. But the point is it's been done chemically, it's been done socially, and it's all in official white papers in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. It's eugenics, CIA-funded feminism, all of it on record to destroy the family, to destroy the human system so that it can be replaced with a corporate Borg. And look at the blessings. Highest breast cancer rates, highest cancer rates, women reporting they're more depressed than ever. But till they're about 40, they like running around having a good time. The men are like animals, dumbed down, acting like 5-year-old boys. They enjoy it. I'm going to break this down. It's simple, but it's also complex. And it is the collapse of society. And you're going to be euthanized, and no one's going to be there to protect you. And the young people, there's not going to be as many young as there are old. That's already starting, the upside-down paradigm. You're not going to have your Social Security in the future paid. You're going to be euthanized. That's the official plan. And the yuppies that are younger out partying are going to kill that ugly old person. And, of course, you were that young person 40 years earlier saying, kill that old person. And clapping when Bill Gates said, you don't give grandma you kill people. You're going to get jack squat from that psycho. Taking over education, Monsanto, everything. Weather weapons, he's financing all that. Bioweapons, everything. And then people say, well, why didn't he have you killed then? Because you're talking about it. Because everybody knows now. It's out of the bag. And Bill Gates doesn't act like that. He does it all through procedures and all through committees. And they all doll everything up and shield it so that only a very few people actually have knowledge of what's being added as Trojan horses to the GMO and the vaccines. And the mosquitoes they're already releasing in Florida and areas of Africa. You see how that works? Is plausible deniability. They do it through the system. The ultimate in cowardly tyranny. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. Let me continue. Slain border agent's family files lawsuit against Fast and Furious. In Fast and Furious scandal, one of the people murdered by the guns, shipped to Mexico by the criminal narcotics trafficking mafia that runs things. Oh, and there's a Daily Caller article. It's coming out that the Justice Department prosecutors are paid off by big banks and Cayman Islands, and they've got witnesses, and it's just like Corzine stealing and getting caught perjuring, and nothing can be done because they're all crooks now. And because the army and police will follow orders, can do anything, like Hitler. See, we're now at that point where the criminals have tested everybody, they've got their people in everywhere, and they think they can do anything. Anything. If you're watching on prisonplanet.tv, you can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stacks of news. And some of these stacks are 5 stories deep. Others are about 20 stories deep. And I generally get to about half of this on air every day. In the old days, back when I was doing talk radio like 10 years ago, I was actually more disciplined. I would actually cover everything. But I want to go back into a lot of these, and it's almost like I'm a dog in a butcher shop. I can't decide which one to get into, because once I get into one article, I'll tend to run down a rabbit trail. And obviously, folks like that because the show is very popular and gaining affiliates and getting top ratings, but it's just into the brain of Alex Jones here. I'm trying to discipline myself. So let me just start on the right-hand side here again to try to give you just, the top stack headline. And it all just gets more insane. Every day, this is every day, and there's just endless amount. People's like, wow, how do you dig all this up? Dig it all up, it's just pouring out in the open. Reactor in California releasing a bunch of radiation. Of course, they had that salt reactor blow up in the 50s and radiate bigger than Chernobyl and cover it up. See, everything's always connected. That's why I can't read you one article. You've got more radiation, more meltdowns at Fukushima. That's in that stack. We've got the family almost completely gone, and then what's left of it under attack in the culture and the media. We've got slain border agent's family files lawsuit in Fast and Furious scandal, and Holder involved in all sorts of corruption. Bill introduced to challenge authority of NDAA. Other Congress people now go public against it, not just Ron Paul, the secret arrest provisions. Microsoft buys eugenics technology from Merck. Vaccines that sterilize you, ultrasound where you get your welfare payment if they hit your, you-know-whats with the ultrasound to kill your sperm. Just total rollout by Microsoft with that. Diminishment of sovereignty and more Fed manipulations, Big Bob Chapman article. Moving right along here, Cameron fleeing America to escape collapse, or all these reports about how they may release a super flu that kills over 90% of those that come in contact with it, or take your pick, Ebola. He's a big globalist, reduce the population insider. Oh, yeah. And Cameron is bye-bye to New Zealand out at the middle of nowhere. We'll be getting into that detailed report by Paul Watson and Alex Jones. Continuing here, sugar should be regulated like alcohol, tobacco. And that's what CBS News, ABC News, and the federal government are saying. Now, let me explain how this works. Aspartame chemical weapon, you can have that. Bisphenol A in the plastic lining, your TV dinners and your Coke cans and everything, on record increasing cancer and reducing fertility in men, hyperfeminizing women, early onset of puberty in women, suppressing puberty in boys. Just go check it out for yourself. It's an admitted fact, not debatable. Just like the aspartame and the fluoride and all of it, which the globalists then have public documents about how they do it on purpose. It's not just like, oh, look, they talk about how they want to kill us all day, and then they own the companies and the big medical systems that make money off this. Boy, it's obvious they're doing it. They even talk about how they're doing it to us. The White House science czar says, you know, we put stuff in your water and food to sterilize you. And they're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it. And, of course, who can't have the kids? It's the yuppies who take all the shots and wait till they're 35 to have kids. All right, continuing. Sugar should be regulated like alcohol, tobacco. So, see, let's blame regular sugar for everything. When people, I've looked at the statistics, ate more sugar in the 1950s. We've had guests on about this than they do now. What do we have now, though? MSG, aspartame, bisphenol A, and all this other garbage that's directly linked to pancreatic cancer and type 1, 2, and 3 diabetes. It's off the charts. All of it. So what are they going to do? They're going to come in and regulate natural healthy fats. They're going to come in and regulate sugar. This is how the globalists do it. And they have the pediatric associations. They have saying, give your baby Pedialyte with the aspartame in it. Don't give your kid sugar. I mean, sugar, a lot of sugar isn't great. With a battle axe. Don't slap them. See, they always create the crisis, offer the solution, and regulating and taxing everything. Got that? Israel's head of military intelligence has come out saying Iran has uranium for 4 nuclear bombs, but it's like all the headlines in the West. It's misleading. Let's just be. They have enough if they could ever refine it, but it's not refined. I mean, that's like saying, you know, that the hospitals in America have enough radioactive material to make a nuke. Well, yeah, but you can't make it with it because you can't purify it. Okay, I haven't even gotten into the top news. I'm just going from right to left here. I've got all this other stuff. Oh, my goodness. Got a big juicy drudge link on naked body scanners at the Super Bowl. That's right. Training you how to be a slave. Training your child that pedophiles grab your genitals. Everybody like cancer? We'll be right back.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Come on, America. And the rest of the world, wake up, get angry. See the prison being built around you by a bunch of control freaks that want to keep you in the dark and turn you into a little biological android to serve them while they get their robot armies and drone armies ready for you. All right. Speaking of that, trolls always come up with new ridiculous ways to attack Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, you name it. But I've seen this new thing going, it's ridiculous that there's going to be huge fleets of drones that are AI, artificially intelligent, over our cities and blimps that are surveilling us, and that there's going to be surveillance robots on the ground. This guy's nuts. And maybe they're not trolls. I just kind of saw that meme pop up here and there, just as I was scanning over news and seeing comments on YouTube and things, when I comment on this. And I think that's just because a lot of people, well, they still think I'm lying about many GMO foods you eat have multiple insect genes in them. They grow their own pesticide. People don't know that they've got corn that grows live HIV in it. I mean, you name it. There's thousands of pharmacological crops growing openly, blowing into all the other similar species. So there's a lot of that mutations going on. They've got reports here in Texas confirmed where corn is growing out of the side of oak trees. I mean, it's just jumping species. Whoa. And I understand uninformed people that don't study science, who don't, you know, stay up till 2 in the morning last night reading government documents. You just think I'm making that up. I understand that. I mean, I've been on syndicated radio shows many times and said, well, you know, D.C., Salt Lake City, Dallas, Texas, other areas have at about 120,000 feet Department of Defense giant blimps that are unmanned, bigger than the Goodyear blimp, because they're cheaper than satellites, with ground-penetrating radar, face scanning, heat resonance scanning. They know your heat resonance fingerprint, off the biometric print off the top of your head and shoulders. But when you look up, they can get a face scan as well. They've got a biometric print off your walk. I mean, I saw it when Alexander Haig got the funding in 1993. I was watching him on a science program he had that they syndicated to channels, bragging. And it turns out the company he started got bought by another. And they launched a bunch of these before 9/11, and they launched even more. Now, you could just type in Homeland Security blimps, and you'll get MSNBC, ABC News. But still, they launch them, and then you barely can see them up there, even on a clear day, because they're right at the edge of the atmosphere. And they've got solar power, and they run off propellers. And when they do see them now, I have ABC, and I've played it. ABC says they believe it's aliens over Salt Lake. And it's a big silver blimp with propellers and equipment hanging off the bottom. And they tell the public it's an alien on ABC News. They launched a big one over Dallas 4 years ago. Remember, and Larry King was freaking out on CNN. People are seeing an alien cigar-shaped thing that looks like it's the size of 2 football fields. It was a stinking blimp. I saw it on the news. It's a blimp. It's a blimp. I'm not the conspiracy theorist. Guys, type in Homeland Security launching surveillance blimps. It's 2004. Is an MSNBC that shows them launching one from D.C. I mean, it gets really old. It's not a flying saucer. It's got stinking propellers on it. Nobody came here from Alpha Centauris with propellers on it. I don't want to explain that to people, but propellers aren't going to work in space, okay? All right. A blimp's not going to go through the atmosphere. It is the unmitigated ignorance of the public blows my mind sometimes. But here is some of the articles right here. Armed robots pushed to police, Wired magazine. Shotguns, grenade launchers, and it gets into, I dug back up the articles where they've got little spider droids that go in your house, and they can weaponize those where they're exploding or surveil you. And it goes on to say Department of Defense developed robots, or now the police are getting them. That's out of Wired magazine. Here's defense.update.com. TACCOM to test new robot for checkpoints, support development of advanced robotic controls. They got all sorts of robots for the checkpoints they're setting up. They're testing them in Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, just type in robots, security robots, checkpoints. The Japanese are testing them. Okay, I'm sorry, it's real. There it is, UFO blimp, ABC News. And they say it must be a flying saucer and the aliens must fly blimps. No, it's a Department of Defense giant blimp, okay? I'm showing it if you're watching on prisonplanet.tv. That's good that you found the video, but just I want to show them the news article where they, before they launched them, they admitted what they were. Just type in Homeland Security blimps, MSNBC.com. Okay. All right, continuing. I'm just got about 20 articles here on this. Here's LA Times. May I heard of them? New drone has no pilot anywhere. So who's accountable? Autonomous killing already going on. Looks like something out of Buck Rogers. There it is, eyes in the sky for Homeland Security. Scroll down, shows them photo right there, Washington Monument, when they launched the blimp. Because people saw it when they launched it, and they said it's Homeland Security. Now, when a guy with a telescope sees it up at the edge of space, they just say, oh, it's just a little green man. You know, he's hanging out. He's a friendly dude. Continuing, again, knowing things means you're a conspiracy theorist. Knowing how the world works is bad. If I said it was an alien, I'd be, oh, that's reasonable. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That Alex Jones is really getting mainstream now. More drones, more robots, more wars. Reuters. Ground robots, air robots. By 2020, the entire Air Force, except for troop carriers, will be drone. The bullets are going to be drone and go around corners. They already have those. Not just this laser-guided thing they showed people yesterday. Here's the Daily Mail. The cyborgs are coming. Living brains implanted with electric chips to replace faulty parts. I remember my dad, who's always into science and technology, bringing home research papers and stuff. He'd go to the library to dig this stuff. I remember being about 9 years old with him with color magazines and research publications showing a big cockroach, a palmetto bug, the Floridian species, with a big chip on him, hooked into his brain, controlling him. I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. They're just now telling the slaves about it now because they're rolling it out. Remember Aldous Huxley, whose brother ran UNESCO, the head eugenics arm, the real head of the UN, where all the countries that are under UN global control, or you get overthrown or invaded or don't get loans, adopted UNESCO. His brother ran it. And he gave a speech in '62, right before he died. You can pull up Berkeley speech by Aldous Huxley. And he says, I want to announce to you this is all eugenics. That's how I wrote Brave New World in '33. This is not fiction. This is our plan. And you will adopt it and you will love your servitude. Berkeley people clapped because they were part of the team. And he actually laughs and teases everyone. And people thought, oh, he's exposing the evil. No, he's saying you cannot stop us. And we've got facilities in England and in the U.S. where there are microchips controlling people's brains. He said miniaturized electronic systems, we're already able to control humans. Folks, everything you see is always 30 years old. Yep, there's the, and that's one of the older transistor systems. Yeah, that's probably from the 70s. Where'd you find that? That's a very good job. Can't see because the lights are off in there. Chris found that. When does it say that palmetto bug was wirehead jacked there? Because that looks like a 70s tech job I've seen. Now, 30 plus years ago, they had robo-rats. They're now announcing the robo-rats. The tech is so small now, all there is an antenna sticking out of their head. 30 years ago, the robo-rats were carrying a little backpack on them. Total control. Total control. And by the way, how many troops do you think have volunteered, not just for the secret space program? How many do you think have volunteered for the chips? I remember about 8 years ago, I had family, a guy who's an officer in the military, at a family quasi-reunion, say, I got to apologize to you. They called us in, the officers, hundreds of us, and he told me the university where they met in Texas, and said, you're all going to be getting chips under your skin. And then about 2 years later, I brought it up, and he said, don't ask me about that. I guess he took it. And they've got guys volunteering for brain chips. They also give the troops now, after combat missions, halcyon-type cocktails of amnesics. You know, you get your teeth pulled, you don't remember anything? They give that to the troops now. And, folks, if you join the military, you might as well just sign up to being a guinea pig. Because troops are a lot more plentiful. I remember I was talking to my dad, and he was telling me a story about when he was in some research projects in college, and he said to one of his professors, why do they use humans for atomic soldier tests and things instead of monkeys or things? And they said, well, the troops are cheaper than monkeys, cheaper than apes. There's a lot more. We're trash. And see, that's the attitude of these ruling elite. It's a power trip that they're on. It's a power trip for Bill Gates to be jacking with all your food supply and coming out with every GMO crop there is. And already the 7 major crops, soybeans, corn, wheat, go pull it up. The 7 major crops are all over 90% GMO now and have infected all the other strains. You cannot escape them until you fully wake up, and it may be too irrevocable then. Monsanto said, 12 years ago? They said, our plan is to infect everything so you don't have a choice. And then we'll have courts rule we own everything we infected. And that may be an old number. They were able to pull up the numbers of things that are genetically modified. Soybeans, 93%. Corn, field maize, 86%. Cotton seed oil, cotton seeds, 93%. Alfalfa, I don't see a number there, 80%. Hawaiian papayas, 80%. Tomatoes, it's got different numbers ranging. Canola, 93%. Sugarcane, sugar beet. They're just getting started with that. Thank you for pulling that up. What's the source on that? It's Wikipedia. Yeah, it's probably old. Okay, let's continue here. The cyborgs are coming. Living brains implanted with electronic chips to replace faulty parts. Here it is, how military robots work. Science.com. And it shows the mini tanks bristling with weapons I was telling you about yesterday. And they've got the little hand grenade robots that come in your house and kill you, little spiders. Here's the Washington Post, a future for drones, automated killing. This was last year, so now they are in the air, automated. They've been for a long time. Oh, but there was no way to remote control the aircraft on 9/11, even though those very aircraft were installed with it. And Bush talked about it at a press conference, and they told him to shut up. Here's another one. Company introduces low-cost checkpoint security robot, national defense. With an artificial memory chip, rats can remember and forget at the touch of a button. Pop science. Oh, and then that's just an article about radiation being released and them shutting down a nuke plant out in California. No big deal. They've now said radiation's no problem. You can have 100,000 times stuff that before was lethal. Just type in, if you're a new listener, FDA raises levels of what they say is safe radiation. And you can read all the new isotopes. This one's 25,000, this one 5,000, this one 1,000, this one 100,000. And just drink that milk, eat all that stuff. It's blowing over. Sure, 6 months ago from Connecticut to on the East Coast to Washington on the West Coast and water supplies in California, huge amounts of radioactive isotopes. Hey, you know what? It's okay. And of course, don't even question why suddenly they're announcing radiation levels going up all over Europe. In fact, type that in from a month ago. Just mysterious radiation going up in Europe. And they say, well, it's not good for you. I mean, yeah, and they real calmly go on the news and say, there'll be some increased cancer. Yeah, but we'll try to get you some treatments for those cancer. We're not going to discuss why there's radiation going up. Kind of like, yeah, several thousand% increase in breast cancer in the United States above everybody else. But other Western countries that follow the regimen are having increases as well. We're not going to discuss why it's becoming like the common cold and why your mama or your wife or your daughter's dying or grandma. In fact, scroll back down. I want to read that headline. Thank you. You guys are getting really good at finding stuff, better than I. No, we're going to find out treatments for it. There it is. Riddle of radiation sweeping across Europe. UN nuclear agency mystified by soaring levels. I've had Dr. Busby on, who is one of the top nuclear physicists, because he's also a chemical physicist, who predicted all of this with accuracy. And he said a lot of his colleagues believe this is being done on purpose to reduce fertility because nothing screws up chromosomes and reduces fertility like radiation. And then the globalists have got advanced high-tech treatments where they're going to be able to treat you, but only when you merge with the machines. And then you'll think, oh, it's great, I'm going blind because of radiation, or I can't have kids. We'll take your DNA, which they're now doing, from regular cells, splice them with, you want 3 partners? How about a kid that's from 5 people? They're already making those clones. They kill them in the test tube, they claim. Of course, the intel, and it's leaked in the Washington Post, not in China, not in Hong Kong, not in Costa Rica. Oh, they have got, clones are walking around. This is a government that took your blood 40 years ago worldwide at birth and put it in a bioweapons database and told you it was for a blood test for your baby. They do what they want. In fact, we don't even know how advanced their technologies are, okay? Guys, type that human-animal hybrid clones and then show them embryos from 3 parents. So just it'll be BBC, AP, Reuters, how great it all is. And all the mutations of the viruses and the rest of it, and hundreds of airborne weaponized Ebolas and flus, and just at facilities everywhere, all run by chemicists and biologists who openly write letters about their PhD papers, because they've sent them to me, threatening me. How dare you talk bad about Dr. Pianka? He doesn't want to kill everyone. Most of us do, and you won't stop us. You know, and who can say we would be better off getting rid of all humans? You won't stop us. It's our great work. And you know, how's that going to be for your football game and your hot dog roast out by the pool when these nutcases pull the 12 monkey scenario? Then that's it for all this junk, all this garbage, all your bull. All of it. All your trendiness, all of your idiocy, all of it down the toilet. People revel in their slavery. They revel, I was reading, in the family being dead, and they call it a talk radio. Go, it's wonderful, it's all dead. Yeah, have you noticed everything rotting and falling apart? And there's all these little self-centered slackers who get off of being lazy bags of scum. The New World Order is enticing you to act like that so they'll feel good when they kill you and you're alone in your little apartment dying of Zycronian Zicklezabble or whatever they release. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. This is reality. This is reality. You know, the TSA has put out promo videos in the last year and now admitted that they are indeed planning to occupy every town and city and train your police and federalize them. We've posted the Homeland Security press releases. They've been beta testing in New York, Massachusetts, Texas, Florida, California. But now they're popping up in Tennessee, everywhere. Checkpoints, showing up at malls, football games. And Janet Napolitano, the last 2 Super Bowls, Janet Napolitano, he's come on those shows. I mean, she's come on those shows and forced her way on the Jumbotrons to say, we're here to watch you, we're saving you. It's just, always in your business. And at Walmarts and everywhere these telescreens go in. And now it's the standard security. Just like when Northern Ireland was under martial law, they had you put your hands up and they'd do a frisk on people randomly. Well, now it's just everybody. And they've got National Guard out and State Guard and others at even high school football games. They're searching little kids with their little Barbie purses. I've actually seen a photo of that, about a 3-year-old with the military searching her. So it's all part of just overthrowing due process, overthrowing everything. And police now are going in houses without warrants everywhere. And there's all these movies where it's celebrated breaking in without warrants, and that's how you get the bad guy. Like this movie I just watched yesterday, Law Abiding Citizen. I mean, it's just pure programming. Well, now, and this story's on the right-hand side of the Drudge Report. It's, of course, from Infowars.com. As you can see it at drudgereport.com. Full body scanners at Super Bowl 2012. First-time devices linked with cancer. First-time devices that have been linked and confirmed to be linked to cancer risk will be used at public sports event. And I've got AP articles where the FBI has said they're going to be at shopping malls everywhere. Can you imagine how much money Chertoff, who put the first order in as the Homeland Security head, will make now that he heads up the company? And it just goes over all of it. Local news is reporting that you will be put into a naked body scanner, and everywhere from the ankles to the neck will be searched, and they will squeeze your genitals. So first it was just pat you down. Now they're gonna let you know. It's all about people getting in your comfort zone. And TSA will be there commanding the local security. Isn't that just special? U.S. no-fly list of suspect terrorists doubles in 12 months. Last time I saw it was 2 million. I don't know what this London Guardian says, 21,000. I can give you a newscast from 2016. It had doubled from 1 million to over 2, and then they made it secret. But I guess this is a specific list they're saying of people they say are terrorists. You mean like a Lockheed who hung out secretly at the Pentagon, or the underwear bomber you got on the plane? I mean, those guys? They say it's 21,000 of these people that they think are known terrorists. Oh, yeah. The Pentagon itself says there's less than 100 al-Qaeda in all of Afghanistan. But that's okay, because Google is to allow censorship of blogger content worldwide. And Twitter's announcing it. See, I told you. They didn't want the recording industry controlling it through a law in Congress. They're just going to do it with the governments. And Google admitted in the U.S. and England, they're taking stuff down that's seen as anti-government, or what was the exact quote, critical of the government. And they take it down. And they've delisted us from Google News, and they've delisted us in many other ways. So, I mean, they're already doing it. You going to stand for freedom? Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com is the test. That's why we're using some of their own platforms to fight back against them. And I'm going to make that announcement coming up at the start of the second segment. Then we've got Gerald Celente popping in. And then we've got the one, the only, Fritz Springmeier for a detailed report. But I've covered about 70% of what I want to get to, at least skimming the surface. I want to get into more detail as well. PrisonPlanet.tv.
You don't need me to tell you that humanity is in a deep crisis. Everyone can feel it. We know a tectonic struggle is now taking place between the forces of freedom and those who love darkness, bondage, and enslavement. Yes, my friends, evil is rising. But take heart. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Recently, New World Order operative Hillary Clinton admitted they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
The globalists are scared. They've overreached. The future of the info war is in your hands. Join PrisonPlanet.tv. Download the thousands of special video reports, ebooks, and more, and get them out to everyone you know. Continue to spread the word about the broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other globalist propaganda platform. We are going to use their system against them. The info war now goes into high gear.